Welcome back to another video. This week we're talking all about video. I believe every photographer should know how to make a video with their camera, just like every videographer should know how to take a photo with their camera. So this week I'm going to take you through the basic settings so you can make a half decent to professional looking video. Now if you haven't seen last week's video on photography, there'll be a little link up here that you can click on if you're watching this in the YouTube app. If you're not watching this in the YouTube app, then the first link in the description will take you to that video. With video, a lot of the stuff is going to be pretty similar, but there are some things that are going to be different. The main thing is we now have to factor in a frame rate. A frame rate is the amount of shots that are happening within each second of video. So if you're shooting in 25 frames per second, then in each second of video, there's 25 still images that are playing. The easiest way to think of it is like a flip book. When you're flipping through all those pages, the more pages you flip through in a second, the smoother that little animation is going to be. If you flip through one page in that second, then it's not going to be very smooth, and it's also just called a photograph. The most common frame rates people film with are 24 frames per second, 25 frames per second, 30 frames per second, and 60 frames per second. Bit of a fun fact, your eyes and brain can really only register about 24 frames per second with your sight, so that's why a lot of Hollywood filmmakers and other videographers use 24 frames per second because it's going to be more natural for you to look at. Australian and British TV is normally filmed at 25 frames per second, and US TV is normally filmed at 30 frames per second. Really, the only time you're filming at 60 frames per second is if you're doing a gaming video or if you're recording on your cell phone, or you can use the 60 frames per second or even higher frame rates to film slow motion. Now, whatever you set your frame rate to, it's going to affect what you set your shutter speed to. In filmmaking, there's a rule called the 180 rule. That means you need to set your shutter speed to twice as high as your frame rate. The easiest example to understand this is if you're filming at 25 frames per second, you want your shutter speed to be 1/50th of a second. If you're filming at 30 frames a second, you want your shutter speed to be at 1/60th of a second. Sometimes your camera won't have a shutter speed setting that's double your frame rate, so then you just have to use the closest number to that. Like right now, I'm filming at 24 frames per second, but I don't have a 1/48th shutter speed, so I just put it at 1/50th because that's the closest available. If I make my shutter speed faster to like 1/200th of a second or even faster than that, then my footage is going to start looking really jerky. However, this setting would be pretty cool like in a fight scene from Mad Max or Batman. But if I make my shutter speed slower, like 40 or 30 or 25 or even slower, it's going to create a lot of motion blur, which will look pretty good for like a dream sequence kind of thing. So even though it's called the 180 rule, it's not actually a rule you have to obey. That's just going to give you the best cinematic, professional looking video. But if you go out right now and you set your camera to those settings, you'll look at the image on your screen and you'll probably say it's either too light or too dark. It's rarely ever perfect. So that's where aperture and ISO comes in. Now these two settings work almost the exact same way in photography, so I won't go into too much detail now. You can just watch that video that's in the description. But now they're going to be the main ways to brighten or darken our image. Because if we change the shutter speed, then that's going to change the smoothness of our video. Smoothness. So if your image is too bright, first thing you want to do is put that ISO all the way down as low as it can go. Because remember, a high ISO is a worse image. If the image is still too bright, then turn your aperture to a higher number. And if the image is still too bright, then you must be filming the sun, in which case stop filming the sun and film something else. Or get an ND filter and whack that on the end of your lens. If your image is too dark, you want to make sure your aperture is as low as possible, so it's letting in as much light as possible. If it's still too dark, then you can bump up your ISO, keeping in mind that the higher your ISO gets, the worse your image is going to look. But if it's still too dark, then you might need to see if you can switch on a light, or if there's any natural light nearby, or you might even have to buy an LED light panel that you can put on your subject to make them a bit brighter. Otherwise, that's your basic settings for video. If you want to see any other tutorials or want to learn something else, leave a comment below. You can smash that subscribe button. Very carefully and daintily click that thumbs up button. You don't want to hit the thumbs down one. Click the thumbs up. Follow me on Instagram at JetFunk. Tag me in your photos and videos so I can see them, and I'll see you next week. Whoa!